Hello, good morning. It's 32 days into the new year, and it's up to our knees already. So time is ticking. This morning, political parties' rapid increase and INEC's unease. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Now, the last time we checked, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, had a total of 68 registered political parties, 68. Over 100 more groups and associations are waiting in the wings to be registered. The electoral umpire does not find this amusing, not in any way. INEC's unease has to do more with logistical problems and related matters. And so with about 381 days to go to the first election on February 16, 2018, these anxieties appear germane. Let me quickly introduce my guests. We meet them and greet them. The suave Kayode Ojo is an engineer, an industrialist, but a politician. He's an aspirant. And so he'll be talking about a party where he aligns with. So welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
We do also have a writer, a biographer, and political analyst, Tochukwu Ezukama. I greet you, Tochukwu.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Ojo, 68 registered political parties. INEC says over 100 more waiting to be registered. Ojo, so who registered the 68?
Well, that's a very nice question. The 68 were registered by INEC, I guess. My take on all of this is very simple. Number one, someone that believes in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As long as it is constitutionally accepted or acceptable to register as many parties as
we possibly can,
then I do not see anything wrong in that. However, if there's a provision that could be made, to amend the Constitution to say that any political party that have existed maybe for 2 electoral cycles and you don't win any seats from the state, local government, state, and the federal level, to be more or less, removed from the system, then, those kind of arrangement, I think, in my own opinion, I might, kind of support that.
Tochukwu, he has talked about the Constitution, and the natural question that comes here is, the framers of the 1999 Constitution should have taken so many things into account, don't you think? Vis-a-vis party, political party registration and so on.
Yes, they should have, but then constitutions evolve. It's not a static document. They evolve over time. Different problems arise over time, and then you have to adjust the constitution or the political tradition in respect of the insinuating circumstances. So they should have, but there's nothing basically wrong with it. And the Constitution also is full of lacunas, things that were unanticipated and not mentioned, that subsequent generations have to adjust to meet the necessary conditions.
In the pep talk before we came on set, you told me, and I imagine Ojo will share this sentiment, that the conditions for registering a party were made too easy.
Very liberal, yes. It doesn't take much to register a political party. And then at this point, INEC tried to, well, in 2011, 63 political parties ran for office, the different elective offices. And after that, INEC tried to deregister some. They successfully, at least on the short run, they registered 39 of them. But some of them went to court, and the court said, no, it's illegal to deregister a political party, because the Constitution states that any Nigerian or group of Nigerians can associate and form a party. So INEC, in some respect, is constrained until there's some kind of constitutional amendment. The situation will remain the same. And once the parties meet the conditions, which are not very stringent, INEC will register the parties.
Ojo, the chief technical advisor to INEC chairman, his name is Professor Bolade Enyinla. I hope Enyinla. My Yoruba is not.
Enyinla,
Yeah. He delivered a paper and talked about the multiplicity of political parties. The paper is titled The Dynamics of Managing Political Parties, and at an instructive place like NIPS in Kuru, Jos. What, with less than 400 days to go to the election, you think INEC is running against time?
Well,
you understand me?
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying.
Because he wanted to say 68 political parties, so you are having to deal with 68 party agents and party conventions and primaries and so on.
And also printing ballot paper that could be long from here till Oshodi. You know, if you have like 400 parties, you know, that you have to put their logos on the ballot paper. You know, for me, like I said earlier, you know, everything has to be constitutional. You have to look at the Constitution. You cannot deny people their right. So I wouldn't say whether INEC is running out of time. I think if INEC has a serious issue and they've noticed a problem, I think it will be good for the chairman of INEC and the body that you know, supervises INEC to approach the National Assembly, you know, to look at how things can be streamlined. Just like my fellow panelists mentioned, you know, the Constitution was written and it's not perfect. And as we continue to proceed, you know, in our democratic journey, then we'll realize that there's some things that needs to be tweaked here and there. So I believe that the best thing to do is to approach the National Assembly for some amendment, rather than just what you mentioned, that they just went that time and deregistered the party, you know. We have a judicial system. Everybody's going to say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you taking me off? So that's where the issue of the law, you know, bothers. So they need to do that if they're really bothered. But as long as I'm concerned, on the other side of it, let's even look at it on the electoral value system. It doesn't even matter if we have 1 million registered parties, you know, minus all the logistics problem which they are complaining. People are going to vote for whoever they're going to vote for.
But you couldn't minus all those. You couldn't shut your eyes to them.
Yeah, we can't. That's why I said that the only way to resolve that issue is constitutional. It cannot be done with executive fiat or just a pen. You know, it has to be. There must be a legislation about it. If not, whatever you try to do, the court will stop you from doing it. So why do we need to take 2 steps forward and 3 steps backward? So deal with the problem from the problem source.
Squarely. Izukama, and in between we are talking about independent candidacy in all of this.
Yeah. Well,
an independent candidate belongs in, quote, end quote, a party.
To the independent...
His own party. You see what I mean? Yeah.
Okay.
He's a part of the mix.
Yes. Like Mr. just said, people will vote for whom they want to vote for. So if the independent candidate is popular enough or has this popular appeal that people want to vote for him, then they'll still go ahead and vote for him. But I think he'll bring in a number of complexity to the political equation. I think I'm not an expert in this area, but just my opinion as a layman, I think we should hold off on this independent candidacy stuff and sort out the party system first of all, because for one thing, there's no consensus as to the inappropriateness or appropriateness of multiplicity of parties. The chairman of INEC, Yakub, said it's good for democracy. Saraki also said it's wonderful for democracy. But the technical director to INEC, Bola Ayinle, was lamenting the number that there are too many political parties. Yeah. So as far as he's concerned, it's not the interest of Nigerian democracy. But mind you that in 2011, they managed 63 political parties, and now they have 69. The difference is not that dramatic.
He is a constitutionalist. He's saying, since you have more than 100 waiting in the wings to get registered, register all of them. right? If they satisfy the condition.
He's technically right, but in practice, that means the ballot box will be something like a floor mat, because you have to, it will be that big, you hold it like this. No, the ballot, what is it? The ballot paper.
Yeah.
Okay? So, and many Nigerians are not literate. Most Nigerians can't read. So some go by symbols, logos.
Yeah.
So the average voter might be so confused, so frustrated, and may not vote or make mistakes. So is that helping democracy? Is that healthy for democracy? The answer is no. So where do we...
Healthy for democracy or the Constitution?
No, it might be healthy for the Constitution, as he said. It's a constitutional issue. But then it might be most unhealthy for democracy, to the electorate. So the question is, where do you strike this balance of playing by the rules and being pragmatic? The balance has to be struck somewhere.
We break these questions down just so the manner they bust up becomes a part of the discourse. Should governments fund political parties? Is it proper?
Well, I think to a certain degree, yes. I agree that to a certain degree, because...
So that's constitutional?
If it's in line with the Constitution, you know, I really don't... I've seen the Electoral Act, you understand, and I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not sure what it actually says regarding the funding of the parties, you know, if the government should fund the parties. The only problem that I see there is that if it is clear that the government should fund parties, that might encourage people to just register parties, just like what we're seeing now. But because people just...
We've seen this before.
Yeah, because people just believe that, oh, if I register a party, whether I have this or I have that, at least I have some sum of revenue, you understand? So that's the only snag that I have. But you see, for good governance, for us to have good people, you understand, the real good people to run for offices in this country. There are a lot of good people that are not really empowered financially. They have limitations, financial limitations of how much they can put. For example, if you're running for an office now, you most likely, your chances of getting financial support before the primary is very, very limited. If you are not, of course, a known name in the politics, or you don't come from a political family, you know, that have existed over the years. So we need to figure out how to get people that are good people in their mind, in their intentions, but that are not really financially, you know, heavy to come into the system of, you know, democracy.
Let's quickly tie this to it. Would you say contribution and spending limits to political parties appropriate?
I would say yes, that is appropriate. You know, you have to have a spending, just like in the United States and in most modern democracies, there's a spending limit. You know, there's a spending limit. And what that does is that it makes the democracy healthier, because you have people now that are competing against each other, so you reduce the advantage that the money is going to play in the politics. So it allows people to actually view each individual based on the individual character and previous experience, and also their previous act, whatever they've done in the past.
Tochukwu, it's said that our type of democracy is nascent, but we get in and out of the classroom every now and again. Is it healthy for us?
Getting in and out of the classroom.
Yeah.
You learn in the classroom. So we have to remain in the classroom indefinitely, perpetually. Every democracy is still learning. But I think it's wrong for the government to sponsor political parties, because the problem of Nigeria already is windfall mentality, that goodies drop from above, that you can harvest without plowing. Okay, you can fold your arms and money will come to you. So that's our problem already. In the past, party members, like in the days of NCNC, based on my limited knowledge of what happened then, party members financed the parties. They paid dues to the parties.
And you had your card, party membership card.
Exactly. Yeah. So but with the oil boom and military rule, we developed this mentality that you don't do things by earning them. You don't have to be resourceful to make
Now
money.
you understand what I meant by going in and out of the classroom.
Okay.
1960 to 66, 79 to 83, and here we are.
But we are not going back to, we're still in the classroom. Democracy will thrive in Nigeria, continues to thrive. And in the process, we make mistakes, we learn from our mistakes. That's what we are doing. It's an evolutionary process. It may not be, we can sometimes retrogress and sometimes progress, but overall we are making progress. So political parties should be funded by the members. The limit of contribution, the limit of the amount to be contributed by an individual to a political party needs to be regulated so that one man does not buy up the whole political party and reduce it to his personal will or personal property.
You know, if I may interject into what you said, you understand, that's exactly where I'm going.
Go there.
In a whereby one man has the whole resources, you understand, and is the only one funding the party. Just like it seems now. So if you are the one funding the party, then you more or less own the party like it's your real estate. Then you can, you can decide what happens, in the party, whether it is good or bad. If we want to nurture this democracy, and democracy is what leads to good governance, and good governance leads to development of the people, and then the environment, the state. We have to look at such arrangement carefully to make sure that we give everybody the opportunity to be able to play a part in this democratic, process. So, for example, if I give you an example of in Ekiti, where I come from, the people, they're democratic, they love democracy, they want good governance. But because of the fact that our economy is just down the ladder.
Which economy? Ekiti
in
or
Ekiti,
Nigeria?
I'm speaking about Ekiti
okay.
now, not Nigeria. Ekiti, I think we're the third poorest state in the nation, according to whatever statistics that we have. Do you understand? So now, if my people are being asked now to come and contribute to this party, they don't even have it. They don't have it. So how?
So the danger is always there for some big man with big pockets
to hijack everything.
Okay.
You understand?
But you are going into the ring for the plum job, the governor's seat in Ekiti State. You are going to inherit, as you said, a poor state.
Yes.
So we talk about internally generated revenue.
Yeah.
You have a magic wand or something?
Well, there's nobody has any magic wonder. All we have is a system that has worked in other places and that can work in Ekiti. That's a system that is based on looking inward, looking at what God has given us, which is the land and the people. You understand? To marry the two together, to be able to raise money, awareness.
Which you are not doing now.
At all. No. For example, last week we just had on one of the few companies that we have that is a pride of Ekiti. I don't know if any one of you know Go See Water. That comes out from Ikogosi. Ikogosi is a natural warm spring.
Oh yeah. And
where
you have the warm and the cold water.
So our former governor, when Otumba Adebayo was governor, he started that project, partnered with UAC, to be producing that, to be bottling from the spring.
Which is refined.
Yes. It's spring water.
Distilled.
If you check the pH, it's 7.0. You understand? Pure, perfect water that is even good for your body. And we've been bottling this thing, we've been selling it over the years.
You're advertising here, but go on.
No, I'm not. Well, I will advertise it because it is right for business and investment. If you look at that Go See Water, and they've been selling it over these years, and the UAC remits a certain amount of money to the pocket of the state. That is IGR for us. But now, our current governor, from what I'm reading, I have not verified this, is almost shutting it down.
Don't take me there because
yes.
The news is not confirmed.
Yes.
Let's stick with political parties,
yes.
Tochukwu.
Yes.
INEC plans to release results electronically, which provokes the question, what about e-voting?
E-voting
if you are releasing results electronically, what about electronically allowing people to cast ballot? We are.
I don't know if INEC is prepared for that. Is INEC prepared for e-voting?
It says it plans to release
the result
electronically.
Yes, but I think balloting.
The cynic would ask, why not make the process electronic?
Electronic, okay.
Yeah.
I am not in any position to know about the limits and strengths of INEC. The thing is that from what I understand, the voting will continue the way it's been done in the past, but the result will be released electronically. Whether INEC is prepared for e-voting, I don't know. I can't really comment on that. But I think that INEC, is doing its best and trying to be on top of its game within the limits of human frailties. But I don't know what their limitations in that regard.
Ojo, INEC is an acronym for Independent National Electoral Commission. Underline the word independent. The independence of INEC is always a talking point. How more independent should INEC be?
Well, they should be as independent as the word as that independent word means in the dictionary, which means free from any interference from any other organs of the government, the executive, judiciary, name it, whatever. INEC needs to be extremely independent. And I think we saw that during the 2015 election that brought in President Buhari. Because if it wasn't that independent, of course, that result probably we wouldn't have heard about it.
But there are folks who would quarrel with the outcome of the election.
Well, even in the United States, the election that just happened, the Senate race in Alabama, Roy Moore up to now is not considered. He said he's not. he decided to. He said even though it's the Electoral Commission of his own state, were considered by his own party, the Republican state, the red state. You understand? He said no, there was cheating. So there will always be some people that will not agree with some decision.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it just depends on what side of the
divider
you what you see. So people will always complain, even if INEC is a computer, when we computerize it, and just like you're talking about e-voting and everything electronic and human interference is very little, some people will still complain. So, but it is extremely important that INEC stays independent, because that is every other thing. You see, when you steal election, you steal people's future. You steal the country. That theft is worse than any other type of theft you can do, because you've taken away people's values and everything. So that's why INEC must remain independent.
Yeah. You.
Well, INEC it's becoming more and more independent, undoubtedly, because the elections we have these days compared to what we had in 2003, 2007, the present elections are remarkably much.
So you agree with the verdict of the election in your state, Central Senatorial District?
Oh yes, I am. I think the two elections in Anambra, the gubernatorial and the senatorial, I think yes, they are all credible, fair and credible. Within the limits of human weaknesses, we can become perfect. Yes.
So political parties, Ojo, you are aligning with one of them. Is it about the people's choice or some big man's choice that you should run for the #1 office?
Well, my desire to govern Ekiti is about the people's choice, not one man's choice.
Which people? The Ekiti people?
Yes, the people of Ekiti, which I've interacted with widely, all around the local government, the wards. I've visited them, and the acceptance that we receive is massive. And the people are yearning for somebody they see compassion in. Because most of the problem we even have in country is lack of compassion. If you're a compassionate person, if your neighbor doesn't have water and you have a bucket of water, you will share with that to your neighbor.
That on paper?
I'm just saying if you're a compassionate person.
Yeah. On paper, you share.
If you are compassionate, you will share.
In reality. Yeah, in reality. reality.
In reality, you will share. What is missing mostly in Nigeria is compassion. You understand? For people to, and also, we still have this, what I would still call today, this slave and colonial mentality, whereby all of us, you know, a lot of people as a politician or as a governor, as a senator, as a member of rep or whatever, or as a local government chairman, you take money from here, you run to London, to St. John's, to Regent's Park, to Knightsbridge, to buy houses.
Well, you know those places too.
I do. To buy houses, to do all those things. You go there, you say, ah, the place is beautiful. Forgetting the fact that somebody like you made those places beautiful. You could make your own place
Somebody's sacrifice.
You understand? So our people rush down there to buy homes and everything. They take all the money from here to go there. To me, it's a colonial mentality. And those I will rather, instead of going to invest there, you understand, will rather make Ekiti like Knightsbridge, build one place there and make people buy there. Okay. You understand? So,
which is saying you will shun the St. James's Parks, the Piccadilly Squares and so on.
I would definitely shun all those places. I would tell you, as a businessman, because I've worked in Nigeria in the oil and gas for so many years, about 27 years now. Because I had a lot of interaction, I had to go to the United States to do business in Houston, and I also own business there. Because of that, I have a house there. But it's a small condominium, because it was convenient for me. Instead of me going to pay hotel bills all the time, I decided to buy a little place so I could stay there because I was traveling frequently. Okay. You understand? That was because of the exigence of that time. But I, as a governor, will not carry money here to say I'm going to buy a house in London or in Paris or where. No.
Tochukwu, I specifically asked this, and because all the people in elected offices we consider as messing around were, quote, end quote, sent by their people.
Yes. Well, the thing is that your people can send you, but in Nigeria, we also know that we have money bags that have powerful influence on politics and the outcome of politics in Nigeria.
I hear it's universal.
Yes, it's universal. There's always political godfathers, but the problem is, like I've said in the past, what are the objectives? What are the goals of these political fathers? Are they acting in the public good? Do they want social justice, equitable distribution of national resources, accountability, decency in office? Or are they on the other extreme thinking of their pocket, personal aggrandizement, and being, as he said, being under the influence or grip of political mentality? So it depends on who is this godfather and what are their motives and motivations. That's the problem of Nigeria.
Beyond entrenched interests.
Beyond entrenched interests. Is it for the public good? So there's nothing wrong with political godfathers. There's nothing wrong with having sponsors, powerful, rich sponsors. But the question is, what do they want to achieve in the final analysis?
Maybe we go back to Aman, yeah?
Yes, on the political godfathers, as I said, you know, they are, like you said, I agree that there's nothing wrong with being sponsored by somebody and also being mentored by somebody. That mentorship is also very important because in everything we do in life, there's experience. Somebody that's got experience, you know, you can't buy experience, you have to earn it. And if you have somebody who can impart knowledge, you know, through previous experience on you, fine, you know, you can have, such person could be a political godfather. As I'm sitting down here, you know, contesting Ekiti State, I have some leaders and elders that have been in politics even before I was born, you understand, that I go to just for mentorship and everything, to discuss with them. They will give advice, you understand? So that aspect is good. And also, if you're lucky and you have somebody who's got the finance and can back you up,
why not?
Why not? But with the caveat that, you know, we have to make sure that, you know, we see things above our personal interests.
It's easier said than done, you know, because the man who backs you is investing. I hear we must take a break, but then I also heard from a cynic that in politics, what is not said is much more important. We'll come back after this break. All right, please stay with the discourse. INEC feels ill at ease with the multiplicity of political parties, and that's the thrust of the discourse this morning. Never mind that some more cynics had said that politicians are like diapers. Please forgive that phrase. They must be changed frequently. But this is about the people. My two guests are still here. Politicians like diapers. Change them. It means the ballot box must be sacrosanct. But that's been our problem over time, because we keep talking about a Nigerian-type democracy. I don't know if you have heard that phrase before, Nigerian-type democracy.
Well, I won't say I haven't heard it, but all honesty, I don't fully understand why people say Nigerian-type democracy.
Where the rule of law will not take root?
Well, the point is that, you know, just like every other system, we started this democracy in 1999, and I was, and just like everything you do, you get better, you know, over time. We're not going to be a perfect country or a perfect democracy just overnight. And as you can see...
But you failed in the first term. Second term, you failed. If you failed in the third term, you are either demoted or expelled.
Sure, I agree with you, but I mean, you can look at that, we're making progress. If not, we won't be able to change an incumbent president in Nigeria. The fact that we were able to do that in 2015, you know, is a massive progress. And we should, my take is that we should continue to build on that.
Incumbent president and party.
And party, yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, that's why we need to continue to be, just like my brother here said, you know, the election that happened in Anambra, the two elections, yeah. I mean, we're credible. And then we had election in Ondo State, was credible. We had in Edo State, you know, we're making progress. We're making progress. And I must also say that technology is also helping us to get better, you know, with internet-based systems now, and with all this fact that we have telephone services, which we didn't have in those days. You understand? And then we have social media.
It also has the social media platforms always will have their drawbacks.
No, everything has merit and demerit.
Yeah.
Definitely. Even engineering, you look at it, when we want to do design, you have to look at all those factors, you understand? But what I say is that I know we're making progress, and I want Nigerians, you know, to continue to believe in this democracy, for all of us to participate. You know, the previous notion is that, oh, I don't need to vote. After all, the result is predetermined. That's why we had that. But people now are getting to understand that your vote counts.
Okay, okay.
So the more they participate, the better it gets.
Ojo, people will always vote, but the more important person is the man who counts. All right, we have Divine waiting in Apapa. Welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Jen.
Yeah, I greet you.
Good morning, sir. Yes.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Thank you. Morning.
Yes, we are talking about the issue of registration of multiple political parties. I want to say that the advantage and the disadvantage is even worse. The disadvantage is worse than the advantage. In Nigeria, you cannot say that everybody are educated. Okay, taking home, people in the village area, some of them cannot even know the name of the political party, or even if it is the symbol. And whereby we're having up to 100, and you can imagine how lengthy the ballot paper will look like. And this thing, they allow unhealthy truth, even in our own constitution. This is a means of, you know, diverting many things, many funds. If this thing are three political parties, it will be more easy. The ballot box will be more curtailed, that people can equally put their vote and go. But this one, we need to buy a drum.
Okay.
But you know how much it costs. So the disadvantage is small.
Okay, okay. But it's constitutional, my guest says.
Yeah.
Tochukwu, here, Divine has just harped on voter education, which is key here. educating the voter.
It's very important, but how soon can we do that? We've been harping on voter education for getting to 20 years now, and how effective has that been? And Jones, you said earlier we failed the first time, second time, third time, we should be expelled. No, we did not fail the first time. It's like we were dismissed from the classroom the first time, second time dismissed from the classroom. This is the only time we are really facing a test. Democracy has been around for quite some time. So if democracy is allowed to thrive in Nigeria, it will be very wonderful for this country. Interestingly, the most successful countries in the world are democracies. The Western democracies are the most successful countries in the world. So the problem in the past was truncation of democracy. So now that it seems that democracy is here to stay, I am very optimistic. I'm very hopeful as to what democracy will bring to us. There's a need to be a Nigerian-style democracy. The Britain is a democracy, but also a monarchy. Does that make sense? It's paradoxical, but it's British-style democracy.
Okay.
America has its American-styled democracy.
Which we are copying.
Okay, Nigeria has to have its own styled democracy. But to say that Nigerian-style democracy connotes anarchy, corruption, election rigging, it may not be correct. These are phases we must go through.
May not be wrong.
On the short run, it's not. A seed must get rotten before it germinates.
You have heard the story that in Kenya,
yes,
the opposition leader, Odinga, swore himself in. That's African-type democracy, Ojo?
No, that's Kenyan-style democracy. I don't like talking about Africa because Africa is too big a political space to just generalize about. Yeah, so that's Kenyan-style democracy. We're talking of Nigerian-style democracy. So the thing is that on the short run, we have problems. It's like a toddler trying to walk. He gets up, he walks, and he falls. He gets back up, he continues. That's the only way he learns how to walk. So if a child walks and falls, and you carry him and say, don't walk anymore, he can never learn to walk. So it's a process we are going through. And the thing is to just stay on course and keep on.
Let me take Basi in Lekki. Welcome, Basi.
Hello. Good morning, Jones.
I greet you, sir.
Good morning to your guests, too.
Morning.
On the topic, proliferation of
Political parties
making INEC uneasy. I think that ought not to be an issue. There are laws governing the management of INEC's activities. INEC will go back and see where or how to apply or enforce those laws, and if inadequate, should go back to the National Assembly to get the National Assembly to review the necessary laws to enable them manage their assignment properly. It's not enough to give an excuse that 200 parties are making you uneasy. What are you doing about it? How much time do you have? What resources do you have? What are the laws that govern your activities? Those are the things we should be discussing.
Okay.
Then on Engineer Ojo, I'm tired of listening to people like Engineer Ojo talk the way they talk.
How do they talk?
How does he talk that you don't like?
How systems work.
Yes, Basi? Okay.
It's breaking up.
We heard him first time. Never mind what he said. It's only natural.
That's
but we're saying, my fear here, I'm supposed professionally not to take sides, but my fear is that of brinkmanship. That is fire brigade. And then INEC will turn around, Ojo, and say to you, I said so.
Well, I mean, the Basi guy just more or less corroborate what I said. You know, so which is if INEC is having problems, they should approach the National Assembly. You know, deal with the problem from the problem source and do it now.
Which is constitutional.
You understand? Because you cannot say because something is inconvenient, then you deny somebody their right. It's not done anywhere.
Okay.
I will not stand for that.
Okay.
But what is INEC saying? INEC is double talking, because the chairman of INEC said that the multiplicity of political parties is good for democracy in Nigeria. And then his technical advisor is saying that it poses a challenge that they may not be able to surmount.
That is more the news, given our collective experience, Tochukwu. That's more the news. The man is telling you, given our peculiarities, 68 political parties on election morning, Ojo would be a candidate, and Ojo would have, agent would be one of the 68, and stuff like that.
But they managed, INEC managed 63 political parties in 2011.
We're evolving.
So we should be doing better, so we can manage 69.
All right, let's go to Akure, Ondo State, and take Shegun. Is there. Shegun, welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shegun Adeshimoye. I'm calling from Akure.
Okay, then.
My first take would be to agree with Engineer Ojo that we must believe in this our democracy as Nigerians. Nigerians must believe in this democracy. We have to make it work because we are getting better each day. By each election, we are getting better. The fact that we were able to, the APC was able to defeat the PDP, an incumbent party and an incumbent president, is a massive development, a massive progress for Nigeria. We must believe in this democracy and we must make it work. Secondly, I want to disagree with the Nigerian kind of democracy. Democracy is democracy anywhere in the world. We have to follow the tenets of democracy to have democracy in Nigeria.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Very well said. So there's no such thing as a Nigerian type democracy?
There must be. You can't escape it. Because the tradition, the culture of the people, the environment.
Yeah, but the last part of his statement, democracy is democracy everywhere.
That's his opinion, which is
In
wonderful.
Africa, democracy is more about elections and more elections, right? Wrong?
Well, my take is always democracy should be democracy. Is government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
On paper.
The
That's what it is.
fundamentals.
But sorry to cut you. While he was speaking the other time about, how things, are getting better, which I've also mentioned, you understand, is that we just need to continue to nurture it. And as long as we continue to nurture it, we'll get there. I mean, we cannot say we have a perfect democracy or we have perfect elections. Elections most likely may never be perfect. Okay. But at least if we get to a certain percentage that is above the threshold.
There's no perfect situation.
No.
If there was, we wouldn't be here.
No, all of us will be staying in our homes.
Okay then. There may be men of principle, but what about parties of principle? The two should be intertwined.
Well,
right?
the parties are made of people. It's people, or people make the party. So out of that, people, you have people that are extremely principled, and you have people that are not. They
constitute a party that will take a stance regarding a subject matter. That's as distinct from a politician of principle.
But just like you've been saying, that's supposed to be on paper. But in reality, we're all humans.
Okay.
We're all humans. We're not perfect. There's at some certain points, everybody we may look at their own personal interests. You understand?
Which is paramount here.
Yeah, it's paramount, for people. But, eventually, if you're able to do a common good for the people, you understand. You know what I like to see? I like to see a better country. I like to see a country where we have electricity 24 hours. I like to see a country where I can drive from here to your village and not having to dodge one pothole or having roadblocks on the road. You understand? An egalitarian society. And the only thing that's going to take us there is this democracy.
Okay.
I agree.
It is. So that's why we have to continue to nurture it, so that we can arrive at that destination as soon as possible.
All right, let's go to Adamawa State now and take a caller. I hear is Scholar, Adamawa State. Please welcome on board. Are you there?
Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm on the same page with engineer.
Okay.
Yes. It's not as if it's proliferation. It is a constitutional issue. If INEC has any problem, it's for her to go to the National Assembly, maybe expunge a position so that they can repeal that clause that maybe the party should be streamlined.
Okay.
And on the whole, I like the way engineer articulates his opinion, and he should not mind about all this, about the last person, Basil calling. It's natural. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Many
you very
thanks.
much.
Again, I won't leave here without emphasizing this. INEC may appear to be crying wolf, but I am saying just so we avoid or eschew brinkmanship, we have I talked about 381 days to go to the election, and time will not wait for you.
Well, our election is in July 14th, so it's even shorter.
Okay.
This year.
Well, this year, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We're looking at where election is election.
Yes.
Well, yours is because it was staggered.
Yes.
So that's, but then INEC needs plenty of help. It might decide not to go to the National Assembly. Tochukwu, it could go to the National Assembly and doesn't get the kind of response it needs, and speed and time.
Well, that's a possibility, but I think it's most unlikely because the people at the National Assembly are politicians. They need to be elected. They need to campaign for office. So I don't think that any man would deliberately shoot INEC on the feet, because in the final analysis, it hurts everybody seeking political office. So I think
and INEC becomes the fall guy.
The
fall guy.
Yeah, but I think that the politicians, anyone seeking elective office, will be responsive to the needs of INEC. And you asked a question earlier about principles, and Mr. Oju said that some individuals may be principled and some may not be principled in a political party. Well, of course, there are divergent views within a political party, but there should be an overarching view or interest of a political party. And if those views, if the consensus of the party or the overarching interest of the party is principled, then the country is lucky. But if they are not, then we have the kind of problems, we continue to have the kind of problems we have.
All right, let me take Tunji. He's in Lagos here. Welcome, Tunji. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. John.
I greet you.
On the issue of this proliferation of political parties and INEC on it. Hello?
Yeah,
yes.
you're on.
Yes, I personally do not see anything wrong with having many political parties. I said that the more the merrier. But like the caller from Mr. Bassett said, if INEC has issues with these parties, it's simple. You can go back to the National Assembly, raise it up, and whoever cannot meet the standards, they will be dropped. And the engineer, I know him very well. I just wish him well.
Okay.
Because we are telling him that I'm sure if you get into any political office in Nigeria, it will perform.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's one vote.
Thank you. But it's in Lagos, it's not in Ekiti.
Not registered.
Yes. Go and get your PVC. Relocate to Ekiti and get the PVC.
Yeah. So political parties, we can't stop talking about them.
Yes.
The multiplicity, the man said just now, the more the merrier. But I'm looking at logistics, because at the end of the day, it is still this same INEC. It bears repeating here that INEC becomes the whipping boy if anything goes wrong in politicians' mind?
Well, I don't think it's too late for INEC to seek constitutional amendment. We have more than 1 more year to go. And the House can expedite the process and change the constitutional requirements of registering political parties. And INEC should be empowered to deregister some political parties. Because some political parties are moribund, they are not functional, they're just there on paper. So why would they remain and then burden the society with cost of logistics and cost?
On election morning, you don't put the party's name on the ballot paper. It goes to court.
To court, yes. So just a mistake, an omission concerning one party can throw the whole electoral process out.
That's what INEC is saying here.
In Anambra, for example, 20 of the political parties got 100 votes. The very, very small political
collectively.
Party. Yes. And the one that got 38 votes is suing the INEC that the election was not fair and free. So, I think something needs to be done about this. The parties need to be reduced, and the standards for registering a party should be made more stringent.
Okay. The last, not the least call now is coming from Arochukwu in Abia State, and our man is Mazi Okorafo. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Sir Joseph. Good morning, our guest in the studio.
Yeah, we greet you.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Nigeria as a country, the INEC is free to register at least 1,000 political parties in the name. But the question is, how many Nigerians can read and write in this country? The answer is 75% battling to learn. That is the question. Now, every election in Nigeria, you will see invalid votes. Why is this so? And we're talking about multiple, forming more parties. You see, we are talking about INEC electronic data result gathering. Where is electricity? We should think and talk visibility issues, not subjectivity. And when we think this, we are talking about advanced countries, yes. But what are the variables available? Now, you saw what happened in Kenya, Odinga. What happened some few days ago, where he declared himself as the president. It's because of this electronic voting. At the end of the day, when they started the electoral vote, they had issues that it was not properly coordinated. At the end of the day, what happened? You see the confusion now. So we should think positively. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day.
Oh, okay. We're closing now. So we take an overview right from the top. How do you close your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are pretty straightforward. I'm a believer in the rule of law, and I'm a believer in the constitution of the land. Therefore, I also understand the issue of logistics and cost. And I will not take the issue of logistics and cost over constitutional right of any individual and group of people, especially Nigerians. So therefore, but in reality, I would like a situation whereby things are easier for INEC and also for the voters. Therefore, in conclusion, I would just advise INEC, to approach the National Assembly for these changes that allows them to be able to deregister some parties that are not on the ground.
Okay, and time is of the essence. Tochukwu, how do you close? Well,
my point is that INEC, there's no consensus among the leadership of INEC as to whether many political parties are good for Nigerian democracy or bad for Nigerian democracy. The chairman says one thing, he says it's good, and the technical advisor said, no, it's not good. So first of all, let INEC decide and let Nigerians know whether they want a curb on the number of political parties or want the parties to be as many as possible. Then with that, then we have to know if there's need for a constitutional amendment to reduce the number of the parties or leave the constitution the way it is. Because if INEC can comfortably handle 100 political parties, why cut them the number of parties down? But if they cannot, then they need to cut them down. But that requires a constitutional amendment. So let the country know what they need, and the necessary step can be taken to resolve the matter.
Time is of the essence.
Yes.
Let me thank Honorable Kayode Ojo for coming.
Thank you very much.
And Tochukwu Ezukama.
Thank you very much.
Many thanks. Well, in closing, let's put it this way. We may have 1,000 parties, if that's constitutional, but nobody throws away the fears and anxieties of INEC, because at the end of the day, INEC takes the rap. And in conclusion, these many parties could be graded into two groups. One is a group that creates problems willfully for the system, and the other group is the one that refuses for these problems to be solved. As a responsible media house, all we do is help mold opinion and allow you, the viewer, to make up your mind. We're out of here. On behalf of the backroom boys upstairs, I'm saying have a good morning, but think Nigeria. Bye-bye now.